You know, it used to be global cooling. If you look back years ago in the 1920s and the 1930s, they said, global cooling will kill the world. We have to do something. Then they said global warming will kill the world. But then it started getting cooler. So now they could just call it climate change because that way they can't miss. It's climate change. Because if it goes higher or lower, whatever the hell happens, there's climate change. It's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world, in my opinion. Climate change, no matter what happens, you're involved in that. No more global warming, no more global cooling. All of these predictions made by the United Nations and many others, often for bad reasons, were wrong. They were made by stupid people that have cost their countries fortunes and given those same countries no chance for success. If you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail. And I'm really good at predicting things, you know. They actually said during the campaign, they had a hat, the best-selling hat. Trump was right about everything. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. I've been right about everything.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive. If you're looking for the fastest, most engaging shortcut to understanding the complex world around you, well, you're the right place.
That's right. Our mission, as always, is to take a stack of dense, sometimes pretty contradictory source material, boil it down to the essentials, and give you the analysis you need.
So you feel genuinely well-informed, not just overloaded with information.
Exactly. And today, we're tackling something. Well, it's definitely controversial. It's a deep dive into excerpts from a recent address by President Trump.
This was at the United Nations General Debate, the 80th session.
And what we've got here, it's not your standard diplomatic speech, not by a long shot. It's a really sweeping, highly confident take on global affairs, U.S. policy.
And a major challenge to, well, pretty much all the prevailing international norms, wouldn't you say? From migration to climate.
Absolutely. It's confrontational. And the context of how it was delivered, that kind of sets the tone, doesn't it?
It really does. Our sources mentioned it was given without a working teleprompter.
Which the speaker himself framed as coming more from the heart.
Right. And there are these immediate mentions of protocol glitches, a stopped escalator, the teleprompter failing. It felt like signaling disruption from the get-go.
It's a crucial detail, yeah. The whole tone was one of pretty profound criticism towards the UN itself, the host institution. He's positioning himself as the outsider telling necessary truths.
So our goal today is precision. We need to carefully unpack the specific claims, the, frankly, astronomical figures cited.
And the central arguments, which are often, let's be honest, highly aggressive, will focus quite a bit on the disruptive views around borders and security.
And then we'll really dive deep into the challenges against global climate and energy policy. That's a major part of this.
Okay, let's start where the speech started. The economy. It lays the groundwork for what he calls the golden age of America.
Built on this idea that the U.S. now has the strongest economy, strongest borders, strongest military, and so on. It's a total rejection of any narrative of decline.
Right. The main goal here seems to be establishing immediate, undeniable success, mostly through comparison.
Comparing his administration's first 8 months to the previous 4 years.
Exactly. A rapid turnaround narrative, contrasting with what he describes as economic calamity under the prior leadership.
And the proof. He throws out some massive numbers right away.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that investment figure.
Yeah, this one's pretty staggering. He claims that during the entire previous 4-year term, the U.S. secured less than $1 trillion in new investment.
Less than $1 trillion over 4 years.
Okay, on the counterclaim. In just 8 months under his administration, they've secured commitments and actual money paid for, wait for it, $17 trillion.
$17 trillion in 8 months. That's a 17-fold difference in a fraction of the time. How did he justify that? What's the mechanism?
Well, the speech presents it as capital just flooding back into the U.S., foreign direct investment, companies responding to a radically changed business climate.
Because of
the largest tax cuts in American history and the largest regulation cuts in American history. That's the core argument.
So cut taxes, cut red tape, and the money just pours in. That's the narrative.
That's the narrative. Lower costs, higher profit potential, triggering this supposedly unprecedented flow of capital. It's about the speed, 8 months versus 4 years. That shock factor is key.
Okay, so huge investments, but what about, everyday costs? inflation.
The claim there is very definitive. Inflation has been defeated. Full stop.
Defeated, and the evidence cited.
Tangible things. Energy costs down, gasoline prices down, groceries down, mortgage rates down. The picture painted is one of rapid relief for essential costs.
Is anything up, according to this speech?
Only the stock market, apparently, hit a record high 48 times in that same short period.
So it's presented as this perfect balance, prices down for consumers, assets up for investors. A kind of Goldilocks scenario.
That's the idea presented, yes. Controlled price relief, surging assets, no recession.
And wages. The speech mentions workers specifically.
It does. Makes a direct appeal, claiming workers' wages are rising at the fastest pace in over 60 years.
And the logic ties back to the cuts again.
Yeah, less regulation, lower taxes supposedly bring manufacturing back, forcing companies to compete for workers, driving wages up faster than any time since the 60s. It's framed as proof the strategy benefits the average person.
Okay, that economic picture is certainly bold. But maybe even more radical is the shift described in border policy. Let's get into that.
Yeah, the pivot is from internal economic strength to external security. The border is presented as another rapid success story, from lawlessness to total control.
And the key metric here is this zero entry claim.
That's the headline grabber. The administration claims to have successfully repelled a colossal invasion,
resulting in zero.
Zero illegal aliens admitted or entering the country for the last 4 months straight, according to the speech.
Zero. That's an absolute claim. How is that measured exactly? Is it just at the physical wall or?
The source material seems focused on the physical barrier and immediate enforcement. It's zero illegal entries or admissions. The idea is a total stop to unauthorized crossings.
And how is this achieved, according to the speaker?
Through a simple, stark message. Come illegally, you go to jail or you go back. Or, quote, perhaps even further than that.
Aggressive deterrence.
That's presented as the only thing necessary. He even thanked El Salvador for taking back and jailing criminals sent from the U.S.
Okay, so this claimed domestic success then leads into a major confrontation with the UN over migration, right?
Oh, absolutely. This is a huge point of tension. The UN isn't just portrayed as ineffective, but as actively harmful.
The claim is that the UN is funding an assault on Western countries. How?
With specific figures, the speech alleges the UN budgeted $372 million in cash assistance.
Cash for migrants.
To support an estimated 624,000 migrants heading towards the United States in 2024, plus providing food, shelter, transport, and debit cards.
Debit cards.
Yeah.
Wow, so the argument isn't just refugee aid in camps. It's actively facilitating movement towards a border that the U.S. considers illegal to cross.
Precisely. The critique is blunt. The UN is supposed to stop invasions, not create them and not finance them. The whole global migration approach is called inherently evil.
Why evil?
Because, according to the source, it fuels trafficking, crime, and societal breakdown in the destination countries.
And this leads to flipping the script, framing the border shutdown itself as the real humanitarian act.
Exactly. The rationale is that stopping the flow saves lives that would otherwise be lost on the journey.
How so?
The claim is thousands were dying weekly, women being raped horribly, beaten, exploited on that dangerous trip through jungles, deserts.
So by achieving zero entry, they argue they're ending the suffering on those routes.
Yes, eliminating the death toll on what he called routes loaded up with death, making strict enforcement the moral choice in this view.
Which connects directly to maybe the most shocking claim.
Yeah.
The numbers on child trafficking.
Yeah, this requires careful phrasing based on the source. The speaker claimed the previous administration lost track of nearly 300,000 children trafficked into the U.S.
Lost 300,000 children.
That's the claim. Allegedly then raped, exploited, sold. The argument is that lax borders enabled this.
And the current administration's response.
They claim they've prioritized finding these kids and have already returned almost 30,000 to their parents, who are described as rushing to the door with tears in their eyes.
Beyond the humanitarian angle, there's a strong security focus, designating gangs as foreign terrorist organizations.
Right. MS-13 and another group called Tren Dirwa from Venezuela.
What does that FTO designation actually do?
It gives significant legal and operational power. Shifts it from just crime to national security, allows for counterterrorism tools, surveillance, asset freezes, even military force.
And the speech specifically mentioned using the military against foreign leadership.
It did. Talked about using the military to destroy Venezuelan terrorist and trafficking networks supposedly led by Nicolas Maduro.
With a pretty stark warning.
Extremely stark. to terrorists or drug smugglers. We will blow you out of existence.
And the justification for that level of threat.
The scale of the drug crisis, a claim of 300,000 people lost last year to drugs like fentanyl, and also stopping water drugs, mentioning sinking boats carrying large amounts.
This isn't just presented as an American issue, though. There's a warning for Europe.
A very direct warning. Europe is in serious trouble, being invaded by illegal aliens, destroying countries due to political correctness.
And he uses prison statistics to back this up.
Yeah, data cited from the Council of Europe. Foreign nationals in prisons. Germany, almost 50%. Austria, 53%. Greece, 54%. Switzerland, a massive 72%.
How does the source link that specifically to recent migration, not older patterns?
It's framed as proof of institutional collapse due to recent illegal arrivals, unvetted criminals, overwhelming justice systems.
So the conclusion is, Europe's border policies plus what he calls their suicidal energy ideas equal.
The death of Western Europe. That's the grim prediction offered.
Okay, let's broaden the scope now. We're moving to the world stage, global security, and surprise, surprise, more criticism of global institutions.
Right, and here we get another one of those really extraordinary claims, ending 7 major international conflicts.
7 unendable wars, as the speech put it, in just 7 months.
That's the claim, some raging for decades. It's positioned to directly undermine the UN's whole purpose.
Which conflicts were listed?
Yeah.
And what was the supposed method?
Okay, the list was Cambodia and Thailand, Kosovo and Serbia, Congo and Rwanda, Pakistan and India, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, and Armenia and Azerbaijan.
Quite a list.
And the method described. Direct, high-stakes negotiation backed by credible threats, bypassing the slow multilateral processes. No other leader has done anything close, is the assertion.
And the UN's role in all this, according to the speech?
Non-existent. Didn't even offer a phone call of help, let alone broker the deals.
Dismiss their usual response as just.
A really strongly worded letter that's never followed up. Empty words. It paints a picture of bilateral strength being the only effective diplomacy.
Let's dig into a couple of those specific conflicts mentioned, starting with Iran. There was mention of a military operation.
Yes. The policy towards Iran is framed simply. The world's top terror sponsor can never get the bomb.
And the action taken.
The speech described something called Operation Midnight Hammer. 7 B-2 bombers dropping 14 massive 30,000-pound bombs on Iran's key nuclear facility.
The claim being it was.
Totally obliterating everything. Presented as the ultimate visible deterrent.
And the immediate result claimed.
Ending the 12-day war between Israel and Iran almost instantly. The strategy implied is overwhelming force, not negotiation, ends conflicts with rogue states.
Okay, shifting to Gaza and Hamas, there's talk of a ceasefire, but strong opposition to something else?
Right. While seeking a ceasefire, the speaker strongly opposes any unilateral recognition of a Palestinian state by UN members. It's viewed explicitly as rewarding Hamas for the October 7th atrocities. The demand is clear. Release all 20 remaining hostages, return the 38 bodies, no concessions.
And finally, Ukraine and Russia. A very blunt take on who's funding that war.
First, the assertion it never would have started if you were president. But, crucially, the funding mechanism is identified as ongoing energy purchases.
By whom?
China and India primarily buying Russian oil. But particular criticism is aimed at NATO countries.
For also buying Russian energy.
Exactly. Essentially funding the war against the side they claim to support. Called embarrassing for Europe.
And the proposed solution involves tariffs.
Yes, the U.S. is ready to impose very strong tariffs to stop the war quickly.
What it requires.
European nations must join in, adopt the exact same measures, and immediately stop all Russian energy buys. Synchronized economic warfare to cut off funding fast.
Before we hit the main event, climate change, there was a quick mention of future threats, bioweapons.
Yeah, an announcement of an international effort to enforce the Biological Weapons Convention.
What?
Concern over risky gain-of-function research post-pandemic. The proposed solution is interesting, an AI verification system.
AI, to monitor bioweapons.
A neutral, objective system everyone can trust, supposedly, to ensure compliance and prevent future engineered pandemics, moving from political checks to tech verification.
All right, let's dive into the core topic for our deep dive today. This is where the speech arguably makes its most radical break from global consensus. Climate change and energy policy.
Yeah, the language here is something else. Climate action isn't just framed as misguided. It's called the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world.
It really feels like the culmination of that rejection of globalism we've been tracing.
Absolutely. It's an aggressive, wholesale dismissal of the environmental consensus. The U.S., he declares, is getting rid of the falsely named renewables.
On what grounds?
3 main points. Too expensive, not strong enough to power industry reliably, and dependent on massive, unsustainable government subsidies just to exist.
He singles out wind power pretty harshly, too.
Calls windmills so pathetic and so bad, criticizes their cost. And this feeds into what he terms the China paradox.
Explain that, the China paradox.
The argument is, China builds most of the world's renewables, the solar panels, the windmills, but they barely use them themselves.
They prefer
Coal and gas.
Right.
To fuel their own massive manufacturing base, they export the windmills to the West.
While the West, particularly Europe, is supposedly damaging itself by actually using them.
Exactly. Europe is on the brink of destruction due to the green energy agenda, according to this speech. It feeds the claim that these policies mainly benefit competitors like China.
Germany is used as a case study here, isn't it?
Yes, Germany was supposedly going all green, all bankrupt.
They reverse course.
The claim is new leadership saw the energy disaster, changed direction, and is returning to fossil fuels and nuclear power, and is now doing well. The warning is clear. All green is all bankrupt.
To build skepticism about the whole climate movement, the speech points to past failed predictions.
Right. A key strategy to undermine credibility. He cites 2 specific UN warnings.
Which ones?
A 1982 prediction from a UN official about irreversible catastrophe by 2000, like a nuclear holocaust. And a 1989 UN prediction that entire nations would be wiped off the map by warming within a decade.
The point being, these didn't happen, so the movement relies on hype, not science.
That's the implication. And this leads directly into criticizing how the terminology itself has shifted over time.
From global cooling to warming
To climate change. The speech notes the concern was global cooling back in the 1920s, then global warming. When things didn't consistently warm, they switched to climate change, so, quote, they can't miss it.
portraying it as intellectually dishonest, adjusting the label to fit the narrative.
That's the argument. Proof, in this view, that it's the greatest con job. And this extends even to the idea of a carbon footprint.
What's the take on the carbon footprint?
It's a hoax made up by people with evil intentions. Plain and simple.
And he uses an example to illustrate the alleged hypocrisy.
Yeah, mentions a previous administration figure flying Air Force One, an old 747 with old engines that spew everything to Hawaii for golf, while lecturing everyone else about their carbon footprint.
The message being, if the leaders don't live by the rules lack moral authority.
Exactly. So if these green policies aren't really helping the planet because China's still polluting what is their main effect, according to the speech?
It comes back to economics, doesn't it?
Entirely. Economic self-harm and wealth redistribution. These brutal green policies just shift manufacturing from developed countries following the insane rules to polluting countries that break the rules and are making a fortune. Ties right back to the economic claims at the start.
And he provides some stark cost comparisons for energy.
Very stark. Claims European electricity bills are 4 to 5 times China's prices and 2 to 3 times U.S. prices.
And this high cost is linked to something called the heat death factor. That sounds dramatic.
It is. This is a really crucial and frankly horrifying part of the argument.
Explain that connection. High electricity costs lead to deaths.
The source claims the U.S. has about 1,300 heat-related deaths a year, but Europe, because electricity is supposedly too expensive to run air conditioning priced out of reach by green policies.
Europe loses how many?
Allegedly, more than 175,000 people to heat deaths each year.
175,000. That's an enormous number.
An immense number. And the speaker explicitly blames this on pretending to stop the global warming hoax. It positions the climate policy itself as lethally dangerous.
That completely reframes the debate from environmental necessity to deadly economic malpractice.
It certainly does. And the contrast is then drawn with U.S. policy.
Which involves withdrawing from international agreement.
Yes, pulling out of the fake Paris Climate Accord, claiming it was unfair, costing the U.S. more while giving countries like China and Russia easier standards or long grace periods.
So the current U.S. policy is?
Unleashing massive domestic energy production. The phrase used is drill, baby, drill.
And the source claims the U.S. has a major energy advantage.
Claims the U.S. has the most oil and gas in the world. And if you add coal, which he deliberately calls clean, beautiful coal, implying tech has solved the pollution issue.
Then the U.S. has the most energy reserves overall.
Of any nation. And the final promise is, the U.S. stands ready to supply abundant, affordable, reliable energy to any country that needs it. An alternative to the expensive, supposedly unreliable green agenda. #outro.
And that brings us pretty much to the end of this incredibly dense and, let's face it, confrontational address.
Yeah. When you pull back, the common thread running through everything, economy, borders, security, and especially climate, it's this consistent, aggressive rejection of globalist ideas.
In favor of.
Strict national sovereignty, national strength, national self-interest.
So, connecting the dots for the listener, what's the core dilemma presented here?
The central idea hammered home is that successful industrialized nations are being asked essentially to inflict pain on themselves.
To radically disrupt their entire societies.
Right. All in the name of these abstract globalist concepts, whether it's uncontrolled migration or, more pointedly, the high-cost green energy agenda.
And the conclusion drawn in the speech.
That this whole approach, viewed as a massive transfer of wealth and industry, must be rejected completely and totally, immediately. Sovereignty means self-reliance, prioritizing your own economic health first.
It's really a declaration that national success depends on strong borders, strong security, and crucially abundant, reliable, traditional energy. Weakness in any area just helps competitors.
It's a very compelling, though obviously deeply controversial, worldview. It argues the current international system is actively harming sovereign nations. It definitely forces you, the listener, to think about those trade-offs presented.
So what does this all mean for you? Here's a final provocative thought, building directly on that climate debate in Section 4.
If the stated goal of green policies is to save the planet, but the speaker argues the effect is, 1, destroying Western economies with huge costs, and 2, just shifting pollution to countries thriving by breaking the rules.
Remember those economic figures, the energy cost gaps, and especially that chilling heat death factor claim.
Does the source material, with all those details, offer a compelling argument that the method of current global climate action is fundamentally flawed, maybe even self-defeating, even if you completely accept the original premise that saving the planet is necessary?
Think about that balance, the means versus the ends, and the human cost, as argued in the speech.
A powerful question to mull over. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into that UN address.